Hello everyone, this is Gaming on Linux Guide, and I am Gadget Guy. If you like what I'm doing, feel free to like and subscribe. So today what we have is the Humble Choice review for Linux. This month's is April, and we have an interesting collection for us today. So we've got mostly really good indies, and a couple like more double A games, I would say. So we've got Sniper Contracts, which is like double A, F1 2020, which is double A, Shenmue III, which is like triple A because it's Sega, but I honestly the quality is like double A. Main Assembly, which is an indie, Rock of Ages 3 indie, remothered indie, In Other Waters indie, and then we've got Avon Colony indie, man, I was really having trouble with this one earlier. Simula 1 and 2 are both indies. Colt Canyon's an indie, Skully's an indie, and PopUp Dungeon's an indie. And that doesn't mean they're bad or lesser. That just means that they don't have those big bucks, so they can still create something pretty awesome and experimental. And if you want to know what that looks like, feel free to skip to the end where I kind of give my wrap-up thoughts, as well as sort of, go over what runs and what doesn't. I will also be showing off the games in little clips and providing a small, what I thought mini review of the game as well. So I can't wait to have you watch this, and let's get started. The first game on the list is called Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts. It is a game all about shooting contract targets as stealthily as possible. The gameplay seems pretty in-depth because there's like wind you have to deal with, as well as you have to focus on your distance, and it's really well thought out. It's an FPS, and if you like sniper games, then definitely check this one out. F1 2020 is the perfect racing game for an F1 fan. Not only do you get to, of course, drive an F1 car, but you're able to run your own F1 team. Now, there is a little bit of artifacting when you're zoomed in on your character, but I did not find that affects gameplay. It just looks a little strange in the menus. Other than that, plays perfectly and is a really solid racing game. Shenmue is the third game and is the much anticipated sequel of the Shenmue series that came much later after the first and the second game, which are also on PC and were in a previous Humble Choice bundle. Shenmue III is all about social interaction with the characters and learning their stories, as well as a bit of martial arts. Although it is rated very positive on Steam, the game was not well received, and if you would like a way more in-depth review, may I suggest Video Game Donkey's Shenmue III review. Usually he has very silly videos, but occasionally he will do an awesome, well-thought-out, long-form video, and I think that one really explains the pros and cons of this particular game. Main Assembly is all about creating your own vehicles out of parts and then driving them to complete challenges. Main Assembly is quite complex in its building suite, which is very nice if you like to make every minor detail of your vehicle. Also, it has quite a few modes. It's got like a story mode, which is the challenge mode. There's, of course, the sandbox, where you're able to build things. You can play multiplayer and build things with your friends. It's got robot arena mode, which, I mean, we haven't had a good robot arena game in a very long time on PC. So that's definitely a plus. And finally, it has spaceship mode. Because why not? It's overall really good, runs really well on Linux, and is definitely a recommendation of mine if you are looking to get a game here in the Humble Choice bundle for April 2021. Rock of Ages 3 is a silly physics game all about ramming your giant rock, sometimes made out of sheep, into other things. It's got a fun story mode, and it's got a level creator and player. So the fun technically doesn't have to end, though it is rated mostly positive on Steam, which means it's not as good as the first and the second one, but if you like zany puzzle games with a Greco-Roman storyline, then this is going to be perfect for you. Remothered Broken Porcelain is all about horror, and is the sequel to a somewhat cult horror game that had great gameplay and graphics, but was not wonderful in the story department. And the second game, according to the Steam reviews, is apparently no better. It also just doesn't work on Linux. I have tried many things, and so have other people, but at the moment it seems borked, which means it just does not run for whatever reason. So I would avoid this one if you only have so many choices for your humble choice for April 2021. In Other Waters is a very interesting sort of experimental indie game. Not in that it, doesn't work or have a lot of gameplay, but more that it really tries something new. It's an adventure game where instead of playing as the diver lost on another planet, you are instead the AI inside of the suit that helps the diver run their suit. So you get to sort of really develop a relationship and learn about the scientist, as well as you are trying to keep her alive on an alien planet until help can arrive, while also discovering all kinds of new and helpful flora and fauna that can further the research of a mysterious disease back on Earth. Definitely a really interesting game. Really not usual. So if you're looking for like something really unique, I would suggest this one. Avon Colony is a pretty solid and pretty enjoyable city builder that really doesn't tread any new ground, but it's got a couple uniquenesses, like being able to send expedition forces out into the wild to find relics, and that you need to connect the entire thing with giant tubes, and that you have a colony ship in space that you get your citizens from instead of just them appearing. That really gives it an overall theme that helps the game thematically stay interesting. Overall, if you like city builders, I would check it out. It's nothing unique, but it's there and it's good. Simulcara is a FMV game, which means full motion video. So it's an adventure game, except you get videos of real people as sort of like the cutscenes. You find a disappeared person's phone, and you have to figure out why they're missing and what disappeared them. The first game is pretty interesting. It's glitchy in the beginning, though, but it does go away. The second game is completely borked and just does not run despite anything I've tried. So if you are looking to play the first game, definitely get it, but if you want to then continue the story, you're probably going to have to use either a dual boot or you're going to have to use a virtual machine because it just doesn't work on Linux right now. Colt Canyon is a really interesting pixel art roguelike that is in a Wild West setting. Now, the story is pretty, basic, but most roguelikes have a pretty basic story. Your girlfriend is kidnapped and you have to save her. The weapons are pretty interesting, like the shotgun and the way that you can reload. But I would say that the upgrades are definitely lacking and are not quite as fun as some other roguelikes. So it's sort of in the middle of the field. I wouldn't say it's like a really exceptional one, but it's not a terrible one. So it's like a mediocre roguelike. Get it if you like roguelikes, but if you're not real hot on roguelikes, maybe give this one a miss. Skully is an interesting, like, Marble Madness meets a form changing puzzle game because your skull is able to change into different forms to finish those puzzles. But a lot of the time, you're going to spend it rolling around as a skull. It sort of reminds me of the Nintendo 64 Collectathon because there are so many little leaves or flowers in the entire game hidden throughout a level, and you can collect them all if you so feel like it. Otherwise, it's got an okay story. It's an interesting game. If you miss Marble Madness, maybe check it out. I will mention, though, that it is a little glitchy because the cutscenes, while they have audio, have no video. So you might want to watch those on YouTube if you really want the full experience. Last but certainly not least is PopUp Dungeon, which is a Humble Bundle published game. So in PopUp Dungeon, it is a dungeon crawler where you fight battles in a string of stages. These battles are sort of set out in like an XCOM or Final Fantasy Tactics style, where it is a square grid and your facing matters. Then you have a deck of cards for your particular character where you can spend it to do actions such as attack or defend or play magic. One of the really unique things about PopUp Dungeon is that it has fully customizable characters as well as items and abilities. So if you want to team up Master Chief and let's say Pikachu to fight hordes of skeletons, that is completely a possibility. And you can even add your own if you so feel like it. Though I will tell you, the Steam Workshop support doesn't go through Steam. You have to do it all through the game, but it does work. So if you are a turn-based strategy fan, check it out. It's not crazy amazing, but it's definitely very fun and worth this price point. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed that. Here is the final scoring. As you can see on the bottom, that is the key. So green is perfectly well running, like you're running on Windows. Yellow means it's really good, but there are some glitches, like stutters occasionally, or cutscenes that don't work. Borked means it doesn't work at all. And then you've got needs minor tweaks and needs major tweaks, and we don't have any of those this month. So we've got about 8 games that are absolutely perfect, 2 games that are playable, and then 2 games are borked because Simula 2 and Remothered do not run at the moment. Maybe they will in a later Proton version, but at the time of this creation, they do not run. Overall, also, the scores are pretty positive overall, and they're all Steam games. So if that is your thing, definitely check this bundle out. If you liked what I did here, please like and subscribe, as it really helps my channel grow. And I can't wait to get to 100 subscribers because I'm pretty close. And as always, have an excellent day. And in the comments below, let me know if you have any other video suggestions or feedback, as I read all of them and try to reply as fast as I can.